There's something different about you. Maybe you don't always see it, but others can feel it. Some people are drawn to your calm, your kindness, your light. But others, they get uncomfortable, they act strange, they try to bring you down, mock your peace, or compete with your silence. Have you ever wondered why? Why does your quiet presence upset certain people, especially those who think they're better than everyone else? You see, you're not just anyone, you're one of the dark chosen ones. Heaven has placed something special inside you, a light that can't be bought, copied, or faked. You've walked through pain, betrayal, and silence, but you didn't lose your heart. And that's what makes you different. While others used their hurt to become bitter, you used yours to become better. That's what pleases heaven, and that's what burns the narcissists. In this video, we're going to explore the deep reasons why you were chosen, why heaven smiles when you keep going, even when no one claps for you, and why some people, especially those full of pride and fake masks, can't stand to see you shine. So stay with me till the very end. Each moment we share will remind you of your hidden power. And if you feel this message in your heart, don't forget to show love. Like, share, and become part of this space where real ones gather. Souls who see deeper, feel stronger, and walk alone for a reason. You are not forgotten. You are not weak. You were chosen for the dark, and heaven is proud of you for surviving it. Let's begin. ChatGPT said, some people walk through life easily with comfort and support all around them. But for others like you, the path hasn't been so smooth. You've faced hard times, dark days, and heavy feelings that most people can't even imagine. Yet somehow, you're still standing. Not only that, you're still kind, still gentle, still full of love. That's rare, that's powerful, and that's what makes you one of the chosen ones. In this world, there are people who shine only when the lights are on, but you shine even in the dark. You carry something inside you that doesn't go out no matter how heavy the night gets. That's your inner light. It was placed there by heaven, not by luck, not by money, not by fame. It's a gift that comes through pain, through silence, through surviving things that were meant to break you. And you didn't just survive, you became wiser, stronger, and more aware. This is where the hook of the story begins. Narcissists can't stand that about you. They live for attention, control, and praise. They pretend to be powerful, but deep down, they're afraid. Afraid of being seen for who they really are. So when someone like you comes along, someone who doesn't fake strength, but has real strength, it makes them uncomfortable. They feel jealous, confused, and angry. Because you didn't need to step on others to rise. You didn't need to show off or play games. You simply survived what should have destroyed you. And you did it with your soul still clean. That's what burns them the most. They don't understand how you're still gentle after all the pain. They don't understand how your smile still reaches your eyes. But heaven does. Heaven sees your battles. And more than anything, heaven is pleased, not just because you survived, but because you stayed true to who you are in the middle of the storm. You don't need to talk much for people to feel your presence. There's something about you that's quiet but strong, calm but deep. You walk into a room and the energy changes. Not because you try to be the center of attention, but because the light in you makes hidden things uncomfortable. People who are honest feel safe with you, but people who are fake or controlling, they start to feel nervous. That's because your energy exposes what they try so hard to hide. You're not trying to embarrass anyone, you're not pointing fingers or calling people out, but your spirit is sharp. You notice things, you see through lies, even when no one else does, and you don't even need to speak, your silence is loud. Narcissists hate that. They wear masks every day, pretending to be perfect, pretending to care, pretending to be strong. But when you're around, they feel like their mask is slipping. They feel seen and not in a good way. Your energy acts like a mirror. It quietly shows people who they really are. And the ones who are proud, fake, or full of secrets can't handle that. They may try to make you feel small, they may gossip, lie, or try to turn others against you, but deep down it's fear. They feel exposed by your truth, even when you haven't said a word. What they don't know is that heaven gave you that energy for a reason. You carry light that reaches into dark places, not to judge, but to reveal. Your presence is a reminder that real strength comes from honesty, kindness, and purity of heart. Narcissists wear armor made of lies, but you wear truth, and truth always makes darkness uncomfortable. That's why your presence is powerful. Sometimes being alone feels like being forgotten. You look around and see others surrounded by friends, attention, and noise while you sit quietly in your own world. But this aloneness isn't a mistake. It's not a punishment. It's a part of your journey. You were born to stand alone, not because you're unworthy of others, but because you're being prepared for something greater. Heaven often hides its strongest warriors, not in castles, but in quiet places. While others are out chasing fame, fun, and fake friendships, you're being shaped in silence. The world may not see it, but deep inside, something powerful is growing. Your mind is learning to think deeply. Your heart is learning to feel clearly. Your soul is learning to walk without needing the crowd. This is the secret training ground for the chosen ones. It's where you learn who you are without noise telling you what to be. And here's where the hook begins. The ones who are always surrounded, always talking, always needing attention, they don't understand your silence. They don't see that your alone time is sacred. Narcissists especially are confused by it. They think being alone means being weak, but you know better. You're not just alone. You're being sharpened like a sword hidden before battle. Your spirit is becoming stronger, calmer, wiser. And when the time is right, you'll rise, not with loud words, but with quiet power. The kind of power that can't be faked, copied, or bought. Heaven keeps you alone for a reason. Not to break you, but to build you. Not to hide you forever, but to protect you while you grow. Because when you do step forward, you'll do it with a strength that no one saw coming. Aloneness is your training. And that's why you're set apart. Your heart has been through a lot. You've trusted people who didn't deserve it. You've given love to those who turned their backs on you. You've stayed kind even when the world gave you every reason to become bitter. Most people, after being hurt, start building walls. But you still choose love. You still care. And that makes you rare, so rare that heaven watches with joy, because in a world that's growing colder, your soft heart still beats with warmth. This isn't weakness. This is real strength. It takes courage to love after being betrayed. It takes deep faith to believe in good when you've seen so much bad, but that's exactly what makes you different from the rest. Narcissists don't get it. They lie, manipulate, and break people, then move on without guilt. And when they see that you're still kind, still forgiving, still full of light, it confuses them. Even more than that, it enrages them. They expect their betrayal to destroy you, to harden you, to make you cold like them. But you didn't let the pain change your spirit. You felt it, yes, you cried, you bled, but you didn't become like them. And that's what burns them the most. You're proof that love can survive the storm. Here's where the story hooks deep. In their eyes, you're supposed to fall apart. You're supposed to give up on love, trust no one, and become angry. But instead, you glow with even more compassion. Your love becomes deeper, wiser, and stronger. That's what narcissists fear. They can't control a heart like yours. Heaven sees that. Heaven sees how you hold on to love, even when it hurts. And in a world full of masks, games, and cold hearts, your softness is a shining light. That's not something to hide. That's something to be proud of, because your heart is your power, and it's the very thing that makes you chosen. You don't raise your voice, you don't throw fists, you don't try to scare people or force them to respect you, but still your presence is strong. Your silence speaks louder than shouting. Your calmness shakes up the loudest rooms. That's because your power isn't on the outside, it's deep inside you, and it's something many people can't understand, especially those who live with pride, ego, and control. You don't break bones, you break cycles. While others repeat the same toxic behaviors they learned growing up, anger, blame, manipulation, you choose a different path. You pause, you think, you heal. You question what was passed down to you. You say, this ends with me. And that choice, that quiet, powerful decision to stop hurting others just because you were hurt, that's real strength. It's the kind of strength that changes generations. It's the kind that heaven honors. People with fragile egos feel threatened by this. They want to show off. They want to win arguments, dominate conversations, and always be right. But when you walk in with peaceful power, it unsettles them. You're not trying to win, you're trying to grow. You don't feed drama, you don't fight to prove yourself. You just are, grounded, still, deep like water. That kind of energy makes shallow people feel exposed, because deep down, they know they can't fake what you carry. You carry spiritual strength. The kind that helps others feel safe. The kind that listens before it speaks. The kind that can forgive without becoming weak. And the most amazing part, you built that strength through storms, through pain, through nights when no one saw you crying or praying for help. And yet you rose anyway, not with revenge in your heart, but with peace on your face. This is why narcissists can't stand you. They need chaos to feel powerful, but you don't give them that. You stay calm when they try to provoke you. You smile when they expect you to snap. And that quiet resistance, that inner fire they can't put out, it makes them feel powerless. Because no matter how loud they get, they can't shake what you've built in silence. Heaven sees this. Heaven is pleased because instead of choosing violence, you chose healing. Instead of passing down pain, you're planting peace. You've become the chain breaker, the one in your family, your friend group, or your community who finally says, enough. You've become the person who ends the war by refusing to fight it the old way. And that is true strength. You don't need to expose anyone. Just by being yourself, you make people feel seen. Not everyone likes that, especially those who live behind lies. Your truth is quiet but powerful. It doesn't shout or argue, it simply is. And that's exactly what makes it so dangerous to narcissists and manipulators. They build their world on fake smiles, twisted words, and masks. But when you show up, even in silence, their lies start to crumble. You walk in with honesty in your eyes, you speak with clarity, you don't play games, you don't pretend, you carry yourself with a kind of light that naturally makes darkness uncomfortable. Narcissists don't know what to do with that. They rely on confusion and charm to control others. But around you, their tricks don't work. Why? Because your spirit reflects truth like a mirror. You don't even need to call out their lies. Your very presence does that. When someone's living a lie, they can hide it from most people, but not from someone chosen by heaven. Your energy carries a weight, a purity that disrupts the fake. It's like standing in front of a clear mirror for the first time. The narcissist starts to panic. They see that their mask is slipping, their carefully built image is cracking, and the more they try to keep control, the more your calm truth breaks it down. You don't have to fight. You don't have to argue. Your presence is enough, because truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs to exist, and that's what you do. You walk through the world as your true self, and that alone is powerful. It's rare, it's divine, and it's something that heaven deeply honors. In a world full of lies, your truth is a threat to the fake and a blessing to the real. You don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to prove your worth, argue your value, or chase attention. You understand something most people never do. Silence is powerful. And in your silence there is strength. While others scream to be seen, you let your energy speak for you. While narcissists try to pull you into their chaos, you choose calm. And that's what drives them crazy. Narcissists live off reaction. They want drama, control, and emotional chaos. Their power grows when others fall into their traps. But you don't respond the way they expect. You don't fight for validation. You don't beg to be understood. You stand still when they try to shake you, and that quiet resistance speaks louder than any words. Your silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. You've learned that not every battle needs your sword, not every insult needs your response. You've figured out that peace is more powerful than pride. When you stay quiet, it's not because you have nothing to say, it's because you know some things aren't worth your energy. This is where the shift happens. The narcissist who feeds off attention and control feels helpless around you. They can't read you, they can't provoke you, they can't break through your calm. That's when the mask begins to slip, because their power only works when people play along, and you refuse to play their game. Even in silence, you expose truth. You reflect confidence, real confidence, the kind that doesn't need applause. The kind that comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for. That's what heaven sees in you. You're not moved by ego, you're not driven by fear. You carry quiet power, and that's more intimidating than any loud threat. People might not understand your silence. Some may mistake it for passivity, but you know better. Silence is your shield. It protects your peace. It keeps you from wasting energy on people who want to steal your joy. And most importantly, it lets you hear what really matters, your intuition, your soul, and the quiet voice of God guiding you through the noise. In a world full of noise, your stillness is sacred. In a room full of egos, your calm presence stands out. Narcissists may hate it, but heaven delights in it, because your silence isn't empty, it's full of purpose, power, and peace. You don't have to be loud to be heard. You don't have to fight to be strong. Just by being still, you shake the ground beneath those who build castles from lies. Your silence is your roar, and heaven is proud of the way you use it. You've been through storms that could have broken you. You've walked through dark seasons where everything felt heavy, cold, and unfair. But even when the world tried to harden your heart, you didn't let it. You didn't turn bitter. You didn't become like those who hurt you. Instead, you made a brave choice, a quiet, powerful choice to choose light. Pain changes people. Some use it as an excuse to hurt others. They become cold, guarded, and angry. They let the darkness win, but you didn't. You used your pain as a lesson, not a weapon. You asked deeper questions. You listened to your soul. You allowed the hurt to teach you, not twist you. And that's why you shine different now. That's why your energy feels peaceful, warm, and wise, because you turned your pain into purpose. This is what many don't understand. It's easy to become cruel when life is unfair. It's easy to close your heart when others betray you. But it takes deep strength to stay kind. It takes spiritual power to walk through fire and come out softer, not weaker, but more understanding. That's what you carry, and heaven sees it. You've become someone who brings calm into chaos, someone who doesn't just talk about light, but is the light in dark places, and that's rare. That's sacred. It's the kind of character that can't be faked, the kind that comes only from being tested and choosing to rise anyway. Others may not know your story, they may not see the battles you've fought in silence, but your spirit tells the truth. It carries a quiet power that comes from choosing goodness over bitterness, peace over revenge, and love over fear. That choice didn't make you weaker, it made you real. Heaven noticed, and even though the world doesn't always reward this kind of soul, the divine does, because light like yours is proof that even in the darkest places, goodness can survive, and not only survive, but grow stronger, deeper, and brighter than ever before. You are not like most people. You don't move according to fear, manipulation, or guilt. You don't follow crowds or chase approval. Your soul answers to something higher, something divine. That's what makes you powerful, that's what makes you free, and that's exactly why narcissists can't stand you. Narcissists crave control. It's how they survive. They manipulate with charm, twist your words, create confusion, and make others feel small just to feel big. They build their world around power games and hidden rules. But you don't play by their rules. You live by truth. You walk by intuition. You follow a higher voice that they can't influence. And that makes you dangerous to their illusion. You see, control is their language. And when you refuse to speak it, they panic. They try harder. They test you, push your buttons, make you question yourself. But you've already learned how to walk away from things that don't feel right. You've already learned how to say no without explaining yourself. That makes you untouchable in a way that burns their ego. Your spirit doesn't need permission to be free. You're guided by something deeper: faith, purpose, peace. When others bow to pressure, you stay still. When others get lost in the noise, you stay centered. And narcissists hate that because they can't scare you into silence. They can't guilt you into staying. They can't control someone who already knows who they are. What they want most from you, power over your emotions, your thoughts, your choices, you'll never give. And that's why you are a mirror they can't stand to look into. You show them what they're not: whole, free, and grounded. While they wear masks, you show up real. While they demand control, you live by surrender to truth, to light, to something sacred. And heaven sees all of it. The divine recognizes your resistance. Your refusal to be controlled isn't just strength, it's sacred obedience. You're not rebelling for attention. You're walking in alignment with something eternal. That's why you glow different. That's why you intimidate darkness without saying a word. You can't be owned. You can't be tricked. You can't be moved by ego, because your soul already belongs to the light and no one can touch that. ChatGPT said, "Sometimes it feels like the world is turning against you." You've watched people walk away without warning. You've had opportunities vanish, plans fall apart, and dreams get delayed. It's easy to feel rejected when nothing seems to work out. But the truth is, you've never been rejected. You've been protected. Not by luck, not by chance, but by something higher. Something divine. There were moments you didn't. Understand, you cried over closed doors and broken paths. You begged heaven to explain why things didn't go your way. But what looked like rejection was actually redirection. You were being guided, shielded, saved from things and people that looked good on the outside, but would have hurt your spirit on the inside. Heaven sees what you cannot. There were friendships that seemed full of love, but were rooted in jealousy. There were jobs and relationships that looked like blessings, but were hidden traps for your peace. And while you were busy asking why, heaven was busy working behind the scenes, removing what didn't match your purpose, even when it hurt. That's what divine protection feels like sometimes. It's not always gentle, it doesn't always make sense right away, but it's always filled with love. You are chosen, and because of that, you don't get to settle. You don't get to stay in toxic environments just because they're familiar. You don't get to keep people around just because they smile in your face. Heaven steps in, sometimes with force, and clears your path. What others see as loss is often your spiritual safety net. You might not hear the crash that almost came. You might not see the betrayal that almost touched you. But your soul feels the shift. You're still standing when others have fallen. You're still moving forward even when the road looks empty. That's not luck. That's divine covering. Some of your greatest protections were unanswered prayers. Some of your strongest victories came from invisible battles, things that could have crushed your spirit, but didn't even touch you because heaven said no. You are covered in ways you don't even know. While you sleep, angels stand guard. While you cry, divine hands are rearranging your future. And people may not understand your life. They may say you're unlucky or wonder why you keep to yourself. But what they don't see is that every step of your journey has been handcrafted for your growth. You're not late. You're not forgotten. You're on a divine timeline. That's why you've survived so much. That's why the storms didn't take you. That's why every time something falls apart, you somehow rise again. You were never meant to fit in. You were built to align. You were chosen to follow a path lit by unseen light. And because of that, your life is protected by something greater than human approval. You're not behind. You're not being punished. you're being positioned. Every closed door was heaven saying, "There's better for you." Every delay was a moment of spiritual training, and every painful ending was making space for something sacred. You're not just walking through life, you're being led. And heaven is pleased with how you've trusted through the silence, proud of how you've kept going, even in confusion, because faith doesn't always look like confidence. It looks like continuing, even when you don't understand. You are not alone. You've been divinely protected all along. You've been hurt, but you haven't let the pain define you. You walk with scars, not with shame. Every scar tells a story, not of defeat, but of survival. You've been through moments that could have broken you completely, but instead of falling apart, you became wiser. Instead of staying in bitterness, you grew stronger. That quiet strength you carry now is exactly what narcissists fear and envy. Your scars are not signs of weakness, they are proof that you've faced darkness and still chose to move forward. People may look at you and see someone calm, steady, and kind, but they don't always know what it took to become that way. They don't know the nights you cried in silence, the betrayals you endured, or the battles you had to fight in your own heart just to keep your peace. But heaven knows, and that's why you're honored in the spiritual realm. You didn't become cold, you became clear. You didn't let the pain make you cruel. You let it shape you into someone deeper, more aware. You've learned what matters and what doesn't. You don't chase people or beg for attention anymore, because your worth is no longer something you question. That self-knowledge, that calm presence, burns narcissists the most. You see, narcissists want attention. They live off reactions, they feed on drama and control. But you don't give them anything to feed off. You're calm, you're quiet. You don't need to prove who you are. Your energy speaks for you. That's why they hate being around you, because next to your peace, their chaos is exposed. They don't understand how you can still be kind after all that happened, how you can still love, still trust, still smile. But it's because your strength is not loud, it's not aggressive, it's silent, spiritual, and rooted in something they don't have access to. You've done the inner work, you've made peace with your past, you've healed enough to walk without bitterness. That's real power. They try to rattle you, to pull you into their games, but you don't bite. You've learned that not every fight is worth your energy. You've grown into a version of yourself that chooses peace over proving a point, silence over screaming, stillness over storm. And that level of emotional discipline makes weak people feel small. But you don't carry your strength to make others feel small. You carry it because it's who you've become. Because the pain you went through demanded a response, and you chose growth. You chose grace. You chose truth. So don't hide your scars. Don't be ashamed of the journey. Those marks on your soul are sacred. They're the fingerprints of battles won in silence. And every time you walk into a room with calm strength, every time you choose kindness over cruelty, you remind the world, and the narcissists in it, that true power is quiet, healing, and deeply divine. You don't have to speak a single word to shake something inside others. Just by living with honesty, love, and quiet strength, you stir things in people they've been trying to hide. You live right, not to impress, not to prove, but simply because it's who you are. And that's exactly what makes some people uncomfortable. You don't trigger guilt with sermons or lectures. You trigger it with your presence. When someone who lies constantly meets someone who lives in truth, they feel seen. When someone who uses others for their gain meets someone who gives with no agenda, they feel small. That's not your fault. It's their guilt reacting to your light. You didn't ask them to change. You didn't even bring up their wrongs. But somehow your life, your choices, your peace makes them feel exposed. This is especially true for narcissists. They build their lives around control, image, and manipulation. They want to be the smartest, the most admired, the center of attention. But when you walk in with no mask, no need for validation, no games, they panic inside. You reflect back to them everything they're pretending to be. You live the way they wish they could, but can't, because they're too busy playing roles. You aren't perfect, but you're real. And in a world full of illusions, realness is rare. and powerful. You make people question the life they're living, not by force, just by example. You're grounded, peaceful, and guided by something deeper. And that makes people wonder about their own path. Some will admire it, others will resent it. The ones who resent it are usually those who aren't ready to face themselves. They might mock you, gossip about you, or try to bring you down, not because you've done anything wrong, but because their soul is uncomfortable around yours. But you must understand, this is part of being chosen, part of being a light in a dark world. Your life is a mirror. You don't even have to lift it. Your existence is the mirror. Some will look and see beauty. Others will look and see everything they haven't faced. And that's why they feel guilt. Don't dim your light to make others feel better about their shadows. Don't shrink yourself to avoid triggering guilt. Your walk, pure, kind, and strong, is doing exactly what heaven intended. You're not here to judge, you're here to be. And in just being, you call people higher. Whether they rise or hide is their choice. Your only job is to keep walking in truth. In a world where everyone seems to be shouting to be seen, there you are, quiet, steady, and content. You don't need a crowd to feel important. You don't need flashing lights or loud applause. While narcissists chase attention like it's oxygen, you've learned to breathe in silence. And that's what makes you powerful. You're not performing. You're living. Narcissists are addicted to being noticed. Their whole world depends on who's watching, clapping, admiring. Their confidence is borrowed from the outside. Take the audience away and they fall apart. But you? Your confidence comes from within. Your peace isn't rented, it's rooted. That quiet confidence confuses people. They don't understand how someone can be so sure of themselves without needing everyone to know. You've chosen a different path. Instead of chasing the crowd, you've chosen authenticity. You've chosen truth over popularity, purpose over praise. You don't say things just to be liked. You don't do things just to impress. And that kind of humility is rare, it's sacred. It's the kind of humility heaven honors. You know what really matters? You understand that being real is more important than being liked, that being faithful is greater than being famous. And so you move differently. You might walk alone at times, you might feel unnoticed. But your presence carries weight even in silence. It's easy to be loud, it's easy to put on a show, but it takes deep strength to stay grounded when no one is clapping. That strength comes from your connection to something higher, something eternal. And that's why narcissists can't compete with you. They're playing for the moment. You're living for something timeless. You don't need to prove your worth. You know it already. Your soul knows it. Heaven knows it. That quiet assurance in you. It shakes the people who are performing non-stop just to feel seen. Your life reminds them that there's a better way, a deeper way, a way that doesn't depend on applause. You've likely felt invisible at times, overlooked, misunderstood. But those were not accidents. Heaven often hides its strongest warriors, not to punish them, but to protect them. You were hidden to grow, to deepen, to strengthen without the noise of the crowd. While others were building platforms, you were building character. And now your roots are strong. Now your spirit is solid. And as time moves on, people start to notice. Not because you demanded attention, but because your light couldn't stay hidden. True light always finds its way through the cracks. Narcissists will hate that. They'll wonder why you're being blessed without begging, why people respect you without you trying, why doors open for you without you forcing them. It's because heaven promotes humility. Heaven lifts up the lowly, and you, in all your quiet strength, are walking proof. So keep walking. Keep choosing the real over the fake. Keep choosing peace over performance. Because in a world hungry for attention, your authenticity is rare gold, and heaven is pleased. You don't need a crowd, you never did, because your purpose was never about being seen by everyone. It was about being known by the one who sees everything. And that's more than enough. Your glow doesn't come from anything this world gave you. It's not from fame, money, or the approval of people. It's something deeper, something sacred. It's a light that was placed inside you long before the world tried to name you, label you, or break you. And that glow, the one that shines from within and flows from above, disturbs dark spirits who want control. There is a quiet, holy fire in you. It doesn't shout or demand attention. It simply is. When you walk into a room, people feel it. Some feel peace, others feel uneasy. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your light reveals what they've been trying to hide. That's how spiritual light works. It doesn't just shine, it exposes. It wakes people up. And not everyone wants to be awake. You carry something eternal, something not easily explained. That's why narcissists hate it. They try to copy light. They try to mimic goodness, kindness, confidence. But their version is hollow, an act built for attention. Yours is real. It's been tested in fire, shaped in silence, and grown in darkness. That kind of glow can't be faked, and it can't be controlled. That's what scares them. Your light threatens their illusion of power. See, dark spirits and narcissistic souls thrive on control, over people, over emotions, over outcomes, but you don't play their game. You move with grace. You speak with truth. You act with purpose. You obey a higher calling, and that throws them off because they can't manipulate what they don't understand, and they don't understand you. It's not just about being positive or strong, it's about being connected, deeply rooted in something divine. Heaven fuels your glow. You've faced storms that should have dimmed your spirit, but instead, they made it shine brighter. That kind of resilience makes the enemy nervous. That kind of light breaks chains. And when you carry that kind of light, expect resistance, expect jealousy, expect people trying to confuse you, shame you, or make you question your worth. But don't shrink, don't dim, don't apologize. Your glow was never meant to make everyone comfortable. It was meant to remind people of the truth, even if it disturbs the darkness. The world will try to convince you to blend in, to soften your shine, to be more normal. But your purpose isn't normal. You were chosen to carry light in dark places, to stand firm when others fall, to stay kind when the world turns cold. That light is your gift, it's your power, and it's your responsibility. So shine boldly, walk calmly. Let the ones disturbed by your light deal with their own darkness. You're not here to carry their shadows, you're here to reflect heaven. And heaven is very pleased. Forgiveness is one of the hardest things a soul can offer, especially when the wound runs deep, the betrayal cuts sharp, and the scars never fully fade. Yet somehow you do it. You forgive what most people would hold on to for a lifetime. You release what others would use as a weapon forever. And that's not weakness, that's divine strength, that's rare. And narcissists will never understand it. You see, narcissists hold grudges like trophies. They keep records of every slight, every wound, every moment where they felt small or rejected. They feed on revenge. They find comfort in control. To them, forgiveness looks like losing. Letting go seems like surrender. But to you, it's freedom. You've learned something sacred. That carrying hate only poisons your own heart. You've been hurt, deeply. Abandoned, lied to, taken advantage of, but still, you choose peace. You choose to release it. Not because it didn't matter, not because you weren't changed by it, but because you refuse to let it define you. That's not easy. It takes a level of maturity, compassion, and spiritual insight that many people simply don't reach, and heaven sees that. Forgiveness isn't pretending it didn't hurt. It's not saying the pain was okay. It's standing in the pain, acknowledging it fully, and choosing to rise above it. You let people go without needing revenge. You walk away without needing to be proven right. You grieve, you process, and then you set yourself free. That's divine. That's what heaven teaches, and you walk it out with grace. Narcissists hate that because they need you to stay angry. They want you to stay stuck. Your forgiveness takes away their power. It shatters their illusion that they still control your emotions. When you stop reacting, when you stop giving them access to your energy, It breaks something inside them, because narcissists don't know what to do with peace. They don't know what to do with grace. You, on the other hand, have seen what hate does. You've seen what bitterness can turn a person into, and you chose another path, one that heals instead of harms, one that builds instead of destroys. You took the broken pieces of your past and turned them into something beautiful. And the world may never know how hard that was, but heaven does. You understand that forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. It clears the clutter from your heart. It allows love to flow in again. And even when it feels unfair, even when it feels like the other person doesn't deserve it, you do it anyway. Not for them, but for you, for your peace, for your future. And that kind of power, that unsettles the darkness. It disarms toxic people, because they don't expect you to rise. They expect you to lash out, to become like them, to sink to their level. But you don't. You rise in love, in clarity, in dignity. That's what makes you a chosen one. Forgiving what should have broken you, that's not normal, that's not weak, that's holy. It takes supernatural strength to let go of something that once defined your story. But you understand that your story doesn't end with betrayal. It begins with healing, with rising, with choosing light again and again. Even when you had every right to hate, you chose to bless. Even when people expected your downfall, you showed up with grace. That's why heaven is pleased with you. That's why the favor keeps following you, even after seasons of pain. You didn't become bitter, you became better. And while narcissists remain trapped in cycles of ego and vengeance, you've transcended that. You've stepped into divine flow, into spiritual authority, into quiet, untouchable peace. So when people ask why you're still standing, why you still smile, why you haven't let the pain define you, let them wonder, because your forgiveness speaks louder than any revenge ever could. You are proof that love still wins, that grace still matters, and that heaven still chooses the humble, the healed, and the wholehearted. Keep forgiving, keep rising, because your ability to do what others wouldn't is exactly what sets you apart. You walk among crowds, but you're not one of them. You live in this world, surrounded by noise, chaos, and distractions, but your spirit doesn't belong to it. You're wired differently. While others chase attention, possessions, and approval, your heart longs for something higher, something purer. You may laugh with others, live beside them, even walk some of the same roads, but inside you've always known you're not from here. Heaven smiles on you because you never forgot that truth, even while living in the mess of this world, with its pain, lies, and temporary pleasures. You've never lost your connection to the divine. You've been through dark nights, yes. You've felt lonely, abandoned, tempted, even broken. But you didn't forget who you are. You didn't forget whose you are. That's rare. Most people lose themselves in the noise. They become what the world wants them to be. Hard, cold, selfish, always performing, but not you. You held on to your softness. You kept your soul alive. You protected your heart, not by hiding it, but by aligning it with truth. That truth kept you grounded while the world kept shifting. That's why heaven is pleased. There's something unexplainable about you. A light, a calm, a quiet wisdom. You don't even try to stand out, but somehow you always do. Because your presence reminds people of something eternal, something they forgot, something they miss. You carry the atmosphere of heaven inside of you, even when walking through places filled with darkness. And you don't boast about it, you don't wave it around like a flag, you just are.